today who have either never heard of the Holocaust or don't believe it was real. He even goes so far as to say, and okay, so now I've written the thesis statement. I've started to explain a little bit about his background, why he's writing the article. And I want to mention first as my citation something that I thought was kind of surprising. And it was this citation about the selfie at Auschwitz. So I'm just going to bring you to that in the article. It said, I was at least pleased to be reminded that some young Americans still visit the Nazi concentration camp to learn history up close. So I thought that was kind of surprising that he's finding the good in that when that was kind of, I don't know, kind of startled people and was seen as like a negative thing. But he's looking at it from a different perspective, that even though it's getting negative press, at least it's getting press. Like people are becoming aware or being made aware of Auschwitz and the concentration camps just from this girl's silly selfie. Or, you know, in addition to that here's an American teenager visiting the camps and learning history up close. So he's finding the good in that. So I'm going to say, in order to cite this, I'm going to try to weave this citation into my own words. So I'm going to write, he even goes so far as to say he wasn't totally offended by the quote selfie at Auschwitz social media debacle. I guess that would kind of sum it up. Debacle means like drama surrounding it. You know what, this is bothering me. I'm just gonna tape this down. Okay. Social media debacle because he was, quote, at least pleased to be reminded that some young Americans still visit the Nazi concentration camps to learn history up close, and citation, author's last name. Now, I want to clarify something that I asked you to do in the Stephen Hawking constructed response, and that is using paragraph numbers. So I know you've been taught to use paragraph numbers, and I did this for you to continue in that vein. I just want you to know that this is not official MLA format. It's fine for you to do this year, or you don't have to anymore if you don't want to. But the purpose of numbering the paragraphs is really more of a study tool for you to help you to go back to the text more efficiently. So like what I did when I was reading this and going over this in the last video is I created the prompt. I listed the key citations that I thought were relevant to explaining his purpose, and then I drafted a thesis statement. So I'm taking notes. I'm walking you through the process very overtly. You might be doing this in your head and then writing the thesis statement, but again, numbering the paragraphs just helps us to very quickly go back, like, oh yeah, where was that site? Oh yeah, paragraph 5. All right, it's just another tool to help you when you're reading and analyzing text, but it's not MLA format. The only thing you have to do for MLA format, and the thing that the high school teachers are going to hold you responsible for and will take points off for if you do incorrectly, is to put the author's last name in parentheses. Okay? So I just want to make that very clear to you. Okay, so the social media debacle, he has the quote. So coming back to my thesis statement, I have now given background on his purpose for who he is, why he even knows about the Holocaust, and I've explained how he tries to educate people, or how people are educated or not, about the Holocaust in general. So now I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to talk about his other purpose, and that's to honor his family. So I'm going to say, but learning about the Holocaust is not enough for Greenfield. Semicolon. Instead of using a conjunction and a comma here, I'm going to do a semicolon. I want you to try to use them more often. But learning about the Holocaust is not enough. He also reflects on how he honors the memory of the millions of lives lost through his survival, by living his life with purpose and joy. Okay, let me explain where I'm getting this idea from. So he mentions in the article that he was a tailor and that he learned this skill being in the concentration camp. So he said, my father's words involved replacing the horrors of the Holocaust with a life spent creating beauty in the form of hand-tailored suits for U.S. presidents, Hollywood films, and the world's most influential men. So this is like some pretty high-end, swanky suits that he's tailoring, and to hand tailor means he's making them from scratch. So I'm going to say, and obviously, like he says, creating beauty, and he must have found joy in it. So I'm making some inferences there, but I'm going to go on and say that his career as a high-end tailor gave him the outlet to, quote, now I'm putting create in brackets because I'm modifying the citation. Instead of saying creating beauty, I'm changing it to create, and I'll show you why in a second. So to create beauty in the form of hand tailored suits. And citation, author's last name. Okay. So if you have a citation and you're weaving it into your own sentence, which is very sophisticated, I've seen a lot of you doing this, and that's awesome. Continue to do that. But sometimes it doesn't work with the way that your sentence is flowing. So his career as a high-end tailor gave him the outlet to create beauty in the form of, I couldn't say gave him the outlet to creating beauty in the form of hand tailors. It just wouldn't make sense. So if I modify a word, or if I input a word into the citation so that it makes sense, I just put it in brackets, okay? And that just shows the reader that I've modified it a little bit. Okay. It is in this way that he heeds, Heeds, his father's apostrophe S, it's possessive, request to, quote, honor us by living. Okay. All right. Now I need to wrap it up. I talked about how he feels people should be educated about the Holocaust and why they should be educated about the Holocaust. Now I'm just going to create a conclusion statement that summarizes, what is it about the Holocaust that he wants people to learn and to take away? What does he want to avoid in the future? What's the purpose for teaching people about it, making them aware?